As News Nation has just reported, the incoming Trump administration's vow to secure our border is sending shockwaves, particularly among the cartels. With illegal immigrants continuing to flood into the United States, even as President Biden remains in office, the question on everyone's mind is, what can we do as a country to stem this flow and protect our borders? To get to the heart of this issue, I traveled to the unfinished Arizona border wall with Tom Homan, the newly appointed border czar by President-elect Donald Trump. We met up with some high-level officials to understand the challenges and learn about potential solutions.
Because children don't have a footprint. Children don't have a digital footprint, right?
How do you deal with that?
There's 20,000 employees at ICE. There's 20,000 Border Patrol agents that are going to be on this border. We need 1 million eyes. So we need the public to get engaged on this.
If nothing else, you got 911.
Right.
Call 911.
Yeah. And the thing they need to understand is they're better off doing that. That's why we don't want to demonize ICE. We don't want to demonize this process and realize they're going to get more compassion, more care, more medical attention, more everything if they call ICE. These children are going to be reunited with their families, and they're going to get more safe and compassionate care than they're getting where they are, because they're in a sweatshop. They could be with pedophiles. They could be not getting proper food, not any kind of medical care. If they call, they're going to get taken care of.
If you think about it, over 500,000 kids have been smuggled across this border by criminal cartels under this administration. Separated from their parents, put in the hands of a criminal cartel to be smuggled in the United States illegally. That's child abuse. If you and I did that, we'd be arrested for child abuse. So again, these cartels don't care about these kids. They don't care about, they're a commodity. It's money in their pockets. And that's why we find so many dead children and dead people on the border, because if they die, they're not worth anything. These cartels are animals. President Trump was right when he called them animals, because they are. They rape many women, they rape many children, and they don't care about the health and safety of these people. There's been times when I've been on the border where the Border Patrol approached a boat with a smuggler with a family, and as the Border Patrol approaches that boat, the smugglers are so concerned about being arrested, what do? They throw the child in the river, knowing the men and women wearing green with 60 pounds of gear on is going to jump in the river to save that child. That's what cowards these people are.
Okay, this may be a dumb question, but where do these 300,000 children come from? Are they taken from their parents? Do their parents turn them over?
I've encountered, large groups of kids, 50 plus children. They're unaccompanied. You take them in. You have to give them over to the NGOs. The NGOs call somebody to come pick them up. They either pick them up or they fly them into the area but the NGOs is just a regular individual, a regular employee. So they're not checking to see if whoever's taking that child is really, a relative or anything to do with that.
And there's been many investigations where some of these children are actually rented by the cartels. If you come with a child, you're not going to be detained, right? So the family groups won't be detained. So they'll rent a child to a male adult, use this child, get across the border, be released. Then the child goes back and be re-rented. Who knows what happens to that child and whose possession they're putting that child in?
Yeah, I've had border guards tell me, I've seen this child come through here 5 or 6 times. I recognize this child.
No, and there's been instances where you've had individuals that come across with a minor and say that it's their child, and when you run their fingerprints, they have a prior detention or they've been detained in another state for some type of child molestation charge, but they haven't been prosecuted yet. And wherever they were arrested before, they don't have the money to, send them back and arrest them. So they say, hey, we can't extradite that warrant. But they're asking for asylum and they're with a child, so they're walking away free as well.
Sometimes these people have been released before the vetting came back. And at least 2 occasions that I'm aware of, when that vetting came back, they were hot. But they're already released in the United States.
Already gone.
Yes.
Before it ever even gets back.
Yes.
Can't even find them.
So it's safe to say that one of the top priorities is to find and rescue as many of these 300,000 missing children as possible.
There's 3 top priorities, all starting on day 1. Secure the border, deportation operation, find those 300,000 children.
And find them to rescue them.
Find them to rescue them, exactly, that's the correct word, to rescue them. I guarantee, not all of them, but many of them are living a life of hell right now.
And that clock's ticking, and they're waiting, and you're coming.
I'm coming. Along with the men and women, 20,000 men and women wearing green, and 20,000 men and women of ICE. We're all coming. And with luck and help with the local law enforcement, the local law enforcement can play a big role in this.
And, we want to deputize everybody in America to look and see. And if you see something, say something. Because these children are looking, they're waiting. They're wanting to hear those footsteps coming down the hall and that door open, and it be somebody that's there to rescue them, to get them back to their family, or at least get them out of that hell and get them somewhere safe with some food, a clean bed, a decent meal, out of that torture. You can be the person that causes that to happen. So if you see something, you got to say something, you got to do something. Those kids are waiting to hear those footsteps come down that hallway, not to give them pain, but to give them a rescue. That's what they're looking for. You can be part of the solution.
Well, President-elect Trump promising sweeping overhauls of U.S. immigration policy, including mass deportations. But sanctuary cities across the country are vowing to fight back.
I find it incredible you don't want to help remove public safety threats. So if you don't want to help, do not impede us. Do not knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien from ICE authorities, because that is a crime. And we'll prosecute those crimes.
As you just saw in that report from News Nation, incoming border czar Tom Homan is gearing up for a tough battle, particularly with sanctuary cities that are resisting President-elect Trump's mandate to end illegal immigration. To get to the heart of this issue, I brought Tom to the Arizona border, where we sat in on a special meeting with Border Patrol officers and the National Sheriff's Association. Tom is keen on collaborating with local law enforcement, particularly sheriffs, to enforce immigration laws and secure our borders. Here you are getting a sneak peek into Tom's strategy beginning on January 21.
Hey guys. Phil, I'm John Leonard.
How you doing, John?
Nice to see you.
I'm doing.
Nice to see you, sir. John Leonard.
Good to meet you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Tom, nice.
Mr. President, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you very much. And we appreciate Tom and Dr. Phil and all of you in that room. Thank you for reaching out to us and taking the time. I know you're extremely busy. But Tom, with your position with Mr. Trump, we are, of course, beyond measure of excited and encouraged for the collaboration and the willingness to work with the sheriffs across this country. And we applaud you for being down there on the border with Sheriff Daniels and taking this thing bull by the horns, if you will. So, sir, we are open-eared. We'd like to hear your thoughts and an overview of where you see the administration going and addressing the crisis at not just our southern border, but the northern border and even our coastal waters. So, sir, I will turn the floor over to you, if I may.
Well, I just want to start out, Sheriff, strategy right now, and we're still baking it. I've been down Mar-a-Lago a lot. So as far as the interior enforcement operation, there will be a mass deportation operation. Can't help it. On the heels of a mass illegal immigration crisis on the southern border, where 8 million plus have been released in the United States. The fact is, based on immigration court data over the last decade, 9 out of 10 will get an order removal. Those orders need to be executed. Because if they're not, then I don't know what the hell we're doing. Might as well shut down immigration court, take the Border Patrol off the border, because there's no consequences. So there has to be a mass deportation. Now, where President Trump is committed, that we're going to prioritize that out of the gate on national security threats and public safety threats. And there's plenty of them. Right now, ICE has got over 700,000 illegal aliens with criminal convictions. They're going to be priority. And we're already working on locations and where we're going to find these people. So that'll be right out of the gate, national security threats. And the good news is, I've been out talking about these sanctuary cities that are threatening to stand in our way, and we're not going to allow that either. They cannot help. That's fine. Stand aside and let us do your work. However, there's a line they can't cross. And I've been all over national TV warning them. There's several statutes in federal criminal code. If they knowingly harbor or conceal an illegal alien from us, that is a felony. If they impede us, that is a felony. If you aid and abet, that's a felony. I'm not a U.S. attorney. I can't prosecute it, but I'll certainly present it for prosecution. So I'm hoping they put politics aside, knowing that we're pushing public safety threats as a priority. I would think any sheriff, any mayor, any governor would agree to take public safety threats out of their community. So that's what we'll be concentrating on. Well, here's the issue, because we're going to be hammered on this. Well, you arrested non-criminals in this operation. And why did we do that? Because you didn't let us into jail. Well, you forced us in the neighborhood to find a bad guy. And when we find him, he's probably with others. Well, guess what? They're coming too. So the more agents you let into jail, the less agents I have in the community. So they're going to get the exact result they don't want to get, and they're fighting against by being a sanctuary. So hopefully that changes. So that's the priority out of the gate. As far as the border, the Remain in Mexico program, already working on a conversation, put that back in place. That was a game changer with the Trump administration. It's number one, you can still claim asylum, but you're going to wait in Mexico until your hearing. That way you don't got to find you. Because like I said, 9 out of 10 will lose, then we got to find these people, and they're in the wind. And also third safe country agreements with the 3 Central American countries that if you're really escaping fear and persecution from El Salvador and you get to Mexico, that's where you should be claiming asylum for the first free country. Could you escape that fear and persecution? Remain in Mexico, third safe country, and end catch and release. That is a big one because we need beds. So right now, we got people working on the Hill, including myself, on trying to work funding. But beds are going to be a big cost. Transportation is a big cost. We need to look at HHS and all the money they're giving these NGOs. That's going to stop day one. So that's billions of dollars. So right now we're working on the money because without the money, I can't buy the beds I need. I can't buy the transportation I need. The transition team is currently working with countries that don't want to take their people back. Well, President Trump will have personal conversations with them, and I think he'll be successful. So we got a president who's going to put America first, and he's going to pressure these countries to take their people back. If not, we're looking at third place country placements. It's going to cost us some money. It's going to cost some international aid, but they need to get the hell out of here. So we'll put them someplace else we have to. So that's the plan right now. So Remain in Mexico, third safe country, ending catch release. Again, we need those beds. The wall construction will continue. And the message we're sending right now, and we're going to start, matter of fact, Dr. Phil's going to help me on this. We need to start sending a message right now in all the Spanish language channels saying, look, if you're in the country illegally, you need to go home. Because we find you and deport you, you got a 20-year bar. You can't come back on a visitor visa. You can't come back on a tourist visa. If you had a U.S. citizen child here, he's not going to petition for you. So go back and try to do things the right way, because if we deport you and spend the money doing all this and we deport you formally, you got a bar. Now, as far as the others, I was asked this question yesterday on Phil's show. Well, you talk about the criminals, national security threats, how about everybody else? They're not off the table.